Hi, friends. I'm back with an interview with Dr. Debbie Bright. I want to do a quick introduction before I welcome you, Debbie.
Yep.
Millennial weight loss and gut health expert, Dr. Debbie Bright is an internationally recognized and board certified functional medicine physician with degrees in exercise science and a master's in nutrition and human performance. As the founder and CEO of the International Millennial Health Initiative, Dr. Debbie helps millennials discover their hidden food sensitivities so that they can kickstart the healing of their fat, bloat, skin, and fatigue all within 21 days. Now, while weight loss is what Dr. Debbie does, restoring self worth is who she is. Thank you for the interview and welcome.
Thank you, Jolene. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to serve your community.
I know. Well, as you know, this community of singles is committed to changing their relationship with dating and love. And they're currently in a 21-day challenge to start shifting their perspectives. So you and I over the years have talked about just how important feeling your best mentally and physically is to dating. You know, there's no one, in my opinion, as fierce as you are in the business. So I feel blessed that this community gets to hear your advice.
Well, thank you so much. I love what you're up to because it really is true. If we wake up and we feel put together and healthy and spot on, I know for me personally, it completely changes how I feel in my self confidence, in my clothing, my energy. It can shift like a good day to an awesome dating day. It's all about just like having this be complete, right? Our health being spot on and feeling amazing is everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So today in the journey is day 8, and we're talking about the body. And a lot of people will ask me the question, should I wait to date or lose weight? And I always tell them, no, 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 don't wait. Just get on the journey. But, dating is a very quick way to start the process to have some motivation. So let's dig in. When it comes to weight loss, what would you say are some of the biggest mistakes that people are making day to day that aren't getting them the results they desire?
Yeah. So, my top three to answer this question has to do with how we focus on weight loss. So, number one, people are focused on weight loss like it's a number on the scale, but they're not necessarily focused on waist loss, which is the healthiest form of weight loss. It's all about having our waistline be ideally one half the size of our height in however we would, inches, centimeters, whatever it is. But waist loss is everything because when we have too much belly fat going on, it's a place where it's very metabolically active. It shifts our metabolism. It's where our body holds a lot of toxins, essentially in fat cells around the abdomen to protect the organs. So, we can diet, we can approach it from like a caloric, like restriction type of thing. But then, like, what are we losing? Are we losing muscle mass, which we don't want to lose? That's a big time metabolic driver. Are we losing actual body fat? Are we losing bone density, like water weight? Like, what is it? And ultimately, we want it to be fat loss, and especially at the midsection. So that's number one, right? Focusing on weight loss, but not waist loss. Waist loss is very important. Number two is a lot of people aren't prioritizing gut health as the root of all health. When you have a healthy gut, weight loss just becomes, I like to call it secondary to just living in a healthy body. In nature, the body, like if you look at animals that are out in nature and whatnot, they're all naturally lean. All of our bodies have a set point of naturally lean. It's just when we deal with processed foods and whatnot, it triggers the brain and we get into the space where we're over consuming or maybe possibly under consuming nutrients, but it's food that it's not serving us, right? So we gain this extra body fat. And then number three, I would say the big thing is even in the health space, we're still focused on pills for ills. So we're swapping like medications for supplements, and we're ignoring things like circadian rhythm influence on health, how much sleep plays into it, the exercise, but the right kind of exercise. I know forever and ever, especially for females, it's all about the cardio craze. And that may not be the biggest bang for the buck for someone. It's resistance training plays a big role in putting lean muscle mass on us and giving us the shape and the tone. Like actually there is no such thing as tone. It's just muscle or more muscle and how it even shapes us underneath our own body fat. So yeah, those are my top three right there. So focus on waist loss, prioritize gut health, and be mindful of swapping pills for ills, right? Let's spend quality time in the sun, make sure we're sleeping, make sure we're eating good quality foods, and that will move the needle and it'll move the needle quickly.
That's fantastic. It's fascinating. I already just learned so much that I didn't even know. So you're saying that weight loss goes far beyond calorie counting, right? So what should people be focusing on to help them shed their unwanted pounds?
Yeah. So, okay, let's just talk about calories for a minute. So, calories matter, but where they come from matters more, right? Food is it's so much more than just pleasure and palatability and enjoying it. You know, 500 calories of pizza and ice cream can send a very different message to the body than, say, 500 calories of cooked salmon and spinach, right? It's just a different like nutrient density. It's a different communication to the body. It's a different way of communicating to the liver, store fat or not, or shed fat. Um, and with calorie deprivation, let's talk about this for a second. If someone loses 10 pounds and five of it is muscle from calorie deprivation and like a lot of cardio, but no resistance training, they've now actually made their metabolism a slower version of itself. So they're 10 pounds less, but they're technically a slower, potentially flabbier, softer version of themselves. And so it's like we never ever want to destroy muscle mass when we can, maintain it. It is our metabolic driver. So it's so important to keep that on. And yeah, like for women especially, it's still to this date, like it's 2022, like let's drop this idea that muscle or weight training will make you bulky. So what I say to that is like, when in life do you see a 7-foot person? It's pretty rare or maybe never, right? And that's because that person has a genetic makeup that's gifted them that height. We aren't like ladies, we are not, I don't know if your community is mostly ladies, but guys too, like we're just not that genetically gifted as a female to carry an amount of muscle mass that a man carries. That's steroids essentially, right? But aside from like all the calorie counting and whatnot, really, I know like in this talk, I'd like to focus a lot on gut health so that people can just have more of an awareness of how it serves them, right?
Yeah. And I do think it's such an important thing just to mention what you said about, men having more muscle mass than women, because when I found that out, that there was no way that my male counterpart, I could compete in a sense, it just made me it made me relax. It made me feel better, okay,
Yep.
good. It is different. So yes, there are men and women, but I know it did ease my mind when I learned that. So I think that's so important to share. Now, when it comes to food sensitivities, what are the top symptoms that someone can look for that might indicate that there's a problem?
Yeah. So let's break down food sensitivity. So it's really important to understand that there are like three types of adverse food reactions, just meaning like unfavorable or whatnot. So we've got food allergies in one category, and a true food allergy involves like an immediate immune response. Symptoms can be mild to life threatening. They usually involve like an EpiPen. Think about, have you seen the movie Hitch in the past? Like speaking
Yeah.
of Will Smith right now, with everything going on, right? Um, I often tell people to think about that. It's like you eat shellfish or something, you have an immediate reaction. Like in the movie, he blew up, like he needed to drink, he was drunk on Benadryl, right? So it's like peanuts, shellfish, tree nuts. Those are the kind of things that like people are like, oh yeah, I got that. Like we're not supposed to take peanut butter and jelly to my child's school, right? For the sake of a true food allergy and it being a fast response that really hinders health. Then there's food intolerance. So those are non-immune reactions to certain foods that occur because a person may be lacking the digestive enzymes to break down that food in the first place. So think like lactose intolerance, right? Symptoms could be like flushing, cold or flu-like symptoms, just overall abdominal discomfort. And some of the key trigger foods there would be like alcohol and dairy, um, preservatives, artificial colors in foods. Our body doesn't recognize those as foods, and so it doesn't break them down. And speaking of artificial colors, they actually bond to and change the protein structures of food. So
Mm.
our body doesn't recognize them for what they are, right? So when it comes to like a birthday cake or something like that, it would be more ideal to, or with any foods, popsicles, whatever, to flavor them with like fruit colorings and things like that so that our body can recognize and digest them. But the area I really like to play in is the food sensitivity area. So these are immune reactions, but they are delayed by hours up to days before the symptoms would show up. So it's usually caused by an imbalance in the gastrointestinal system, us not having the right balance of digestive enzymes. And like as we grow older or with stress or medication use or anything like that, we shut down and downplay our stomach acid or pancreatic enzymes. And we know a lot of women especially have their gallbladders removed, and so that helps digest fats and whatnot. So food sensitivities come from like a breakdown in digestion or a breakdown in the gut lining. Symptoms can include and they're different for each person, but it could be migraines, skin breakouts like acne. Our skin, if you touch it and trace it, it's a continuation into our mouth, down into our gut. So if we're having skin issues, they're very often related to a gut issue. And then other things like getting fatigue after you eat, that could be blood sugar related, having difficulty sleeping, weight gain, or an inability to gain weight or put on muscle mass is another one. And then there are lots of muscle and joint pain. People don't really tie that in. Excessive sweating, mood swings, a lot of IBS issues, like those can all be related to food sensitivities. So mainly if you just think like, is my energy off? Is my skin breaking out? Is my weight, like, am I inflamed? That's all joint pain, all of that headaches related to a food sensitivity. And then, oh, you asked me like, yeah, I think we ran through that, right? All the symptoms.
Yeah, but it is interesting because it's become so normal to be like, oh, I'm bloated today. Oh, I'm just moody. It's my PMS, or it's just become so normal. Oh, well, I had a hard workout, so I'm sore, right? I was talking to someone recently, and he said, no, that's not normal. You are supposed to feel good. Feeling
Mhm.
good is normal. If you feel anything but good, there's something to dive into.
Yes. So common, but not normal. And that's really the issue is it's getting brushed under the rug because it seems like it's normal. It seems it is dismissed as the normal signs of aging. We
Right.
are meant to feel good and energized and all the things, right? And not be suffering joint pain and headaches and PMS, like all these things. All of those are the body communicating that something isn't working here. Hey, pay attention to me. And it's not like you have a pharmaceutical deficiency. You don't need a drug to cover this up. There's something lacking nutritionally, or there's a toxicity issue. We live in such an environment, the environment's just full of toxic products, home care products, gets in through our skin, the foods we eat, just everything, right? Cleaning products, all of it. And then it goes in and it starts breaking down our gut lining. And then from that point forward, you've got inflammatory or food proteins that should be very well digested, but aren't slipping through the gut lining, triggering an inflammatory response. And it's very individualized. It shows up differently for different people, right?
Right. Now, are there any specific foods you see across the board that are commonly affecting people?
There are. So between in the past running lab work on a lot of patients, calling the companies and asking like what's coming back. I know it's coming back for me often. And then just discussing it with my other healthcare providers that do similar work like me. And I call it the foods most responsible for inflammation nation. So really they're the top foods in the standard American diet. So it's gluten, soy, dairy, eggs, corn, peanuts, and then added sugars and artificial sweeteners are in there too, just because it's all within the processed food, right? And people think if I pull those foods, like, oh my gosh, there's nothing left to eat. And that's actually not true. It's just If you're eating gluten, you might be eating waffles or cereal at breakfast, gluten in bread on a sandwich at lunch, croutons in your salad. Like you come home and it's pasta, and then it bread or rolls at dinner. They're in a lot of sauces, so it's just like you're really eating one food, wheat, in like 5 different ways, right?
Right.
So there's so many amazing, healthy, nutritious foods. We just need to expand our palate, and in doing so, with every bite, we shift our gut microbiome, our healthy gut bacteria. And they like diversity in the diet with lots of plants and healthy meats. And, that is what keeps a gut healthy
Well, and
ultimately.
not to
And
get off, yeah, not to get off topic, not to bring you off topic, but making that mental choice that you actually do want to feel good more than you want to just enjoy, you know, like getting over that that
yes.
hump until you can get to the part where you're like, oh, I actually enjoy this. This is more pleasurable.
Yeah. So it's truly a conscious choice. Like I had a mentor explain this to me one time, and he has people talk to their food, which sounds silly, but if you go in your pantry and you want to clean it out, or you're thinking about what you're going to eat, um, he had the categories of this is nutrition, this is entertainment, and this is addiction. So the way he explained it
Oh,
is, yeah, this is some Michael Burnoff work. He's a communications expert, so it's all about how you talk to
I
yourself.
know, Michael. That's awesome.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
literally love him. We just did an event with him like this last weekend. Very amazing. So he says, when you're eating at home and you're choosing to cook at home with healthier oils, not seed oils, right? Switch the oils. Beef tallow are my favorite, lard, different like animal based oils, or avocado oil, or healthy choices. When you're cooking at home with your family and you're making sure that you've got enough protein, slow digesting carbs, which look like potatoes, sweet potatoes, squash, those kind of things. And then your greens, right? Your vegetables, and a good assortment there. That's nutrition ultimately, right? You're eating food that serves your body, that serves your health, your energy, your skin, your well being. It provides you nutrition, right? When you go out to dinner at a restaurant, you've stepped into entertainment. Those restaurants aren't cooking with the best oils. It is what it is, and I'm not saying that sideline your life and you can't do this, but be aware, right? How about nutrition more often than not? And in entertainment, you go to the restaurant, you can still make healthier choices. But then addiction looks like when you go to the movies and you get a big old thing of buttered popcorn, and then you go sit and eat it all, and then you go back and get seconds. Like that's addiction, right? That
Ooh,
is all the cookies, the processed food, the sugars, and letting them have a space in your life more often than not. So,
yeah. Thank you for that really clear picture. Because again, it's that choice. How do I want to live? Right. And it's a tough choice. And, there's not a lot of time to become an expert in what you've dedicated your entire life to
right.
learning, but I'm telling everyone in the system right now, everyone in the community, hire a lifestyle coach, hire a nutrition coach for a year minimum so that you
Mhm.
can really get over the mental part first.
Yeah. And it's really, there's so much information out there. We don't live in a time where you can't access information, but it's like, why not just shift immediately through the hoopla of it all and get an expert that can help you
Yeah, it's because it's the
decision?
information's overwhelming,
Mhm.
and then people give up. So that's
Yes.
why I'm like, don't invest for 30 days, don't invest for 90 days, invest for a minimum of a year and handle
Mhm.
this part of your life for good, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it's the people I've worked with, I can tell you that if they go through a 21-day program and they get results, when they are in the group and they're like, I can't wait until day 22 for the cheat meal, we have not
Right.
done the true work underneath. Like, and they have amazing results. And then they're willing to just step right back into old habits. We have not landed it, which is here always. It's
Right.
always a mindset shift, right? And so it comes with education and having support and team and people holding your hand and helping you get through it, making the right decisions, right? I'm
It's
with
the
you
same thing with
100%.
dating, right? In this 21-day challenge too. It's like, listen, we haven't scratched the surface of how to change your relationship with dating and love, right?
Mhm.
And this day 8, the body, this is its own year in its own, that you
Oh,
just went
right.
time
Yeah.
into. So it's so interesting. I've heard you talk about your 5R framework for rapid weight loss because I do know that people want to get some weight off, right? Can you
Yep.
explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm with you. So science research has proven that the quicker it can happen, the more people are to stick with it. Right. And so I developed the 5R framework for rapid weight loss, which is based on essentially the 5R framework for gut health through the Institute for Functional Medicine. I just put my own spin on it for weight loss because what did I say before, right? Weight shifts, it's just a symptom of a healthy body, essentially, right? But anyway, so the 5 R's are remove, replace, reinoculate, repair, and rebalance. And what that looks like is going in and removing inflammatory foods, treating any gut infections, helping decrease toxicity and like home care products, makeup, things like that, so that the body can cool down its inflammatory load. The next step is replacing. So we work on upregulating digestive enzymes. That would be like betaine for stomach acid, pancreatic enzymes, which helps break down carbohydrates, and supporting the gallbladder for fat digestion. So we want to optimize digestion. People feel so much better when they do this and they start absorbing and assimilating their nutrients, and their weight will start to shift. That's a big one. Reinoculate looks like repairing the healthy gut bacteria with probiotic and prebiotics, um, feeding those gut buddies like the foods that they like to eat. So, resistant starches in like potatoes. There's a way to like cook potatoes so that when we feed our body these starches, we actually aren't digesting them. We're feeding our gut bacteria, but they're not being absorbed by us. So these are like healthy starches. And then repairing the gut lining, so using gut supportive supplements like glutamine, uh, glucose or glucosamine, pectin, aloe, marshmallow, chamomile, things that soothe the gut. There's a lot of research coming out with peptide use now, BPC 157. You can take it orally. So people that are really in a flare, I like to, get the inflammatory foods out of the diet and get them in there and start soothing that gut lining and repairing it and resealing it. And then ultimately, the last one is rebalance, and that's with lifestyle. So right, we've taken these things out, we're working to heal, and then now what? Like, let's make sure the stress levels are under control, doing exercise that serves you, sleep habits are on point. Do you need to look at any more detoxification stuff in the home, whatnot? So that you walk away and like you have results you can keep, right? That's ultimately we want results we can keep. We don't want to have to live such an ultimately limited lifestyle. When I talk about the food sensitivities and pulling them out, it's very important to work on healing the gut and then reintroducing those one at a time and seeing, did I get a skin breakout? Did I get a headache? Does this need to stay out? Do I need to work at repairing the gut a little longer, and making shifts? And for some people, there are foods that don't have to stay out. And for some people, there could be, foods that are better left out. It's probably better for most people not to eat gluten, right? It's just not ideal for the gut, really hardly for anyone. So, and right, those foods are like sprayed with pesticides and whatnot. So, is it the gluten? Is it the wheat? Is it the pesticide? We don't, there's different theories there. I would go with it's the way that it's grown and treated, and that makes it so unhealthy for us in the first place. But we really need to look at like eating organic foods in the diet and whatnot. But ultimately, that's the 5R framework.
That's fantastic and so fascinating. Thank you.
Mhm.
So, do you have any opinions around the self acceptance and self love movement we are seeing in today's modern society?
Yeah, that's a huge one. It's funny. Before we did this interview, I was just listening to a podcast where this couple was reviewing that and they were very aggressive around it. And so I tend to take that stance too, only because like I love people and I want people to have the best health, right? And all people, no matter their shape, their size, without question, everyone deserves love and respect ultimately, right? That is where I stand on it. And I believe that people are beautiful in all shapes and sizes. And ultimately, obesity is just not a size that is serving anyone. It's not. Remember, I said we want our waistline ideally to be one half the um, size of our height. And that's because it's a major indicator of predicting health or all the other things that we can end up right with, heart attacks, diabetes, all the things like it's all dependent on waistline size. And so I just want people to understand that health is a personal responsibility. And it's very hard for me to see fitness magazines putting models on that are sizes that don't represent health. Now, granted, those women are very beautiful. Do not get me wrong. But to promote obesity as being healthy is, as a healthcare practitioner, it's not something I can wrap my head around. And that's really challenging. And so, I nobody wants to be unhealthy either. And so that's really my takeaway from this whole movement. And it's aggressive out there. Like I could get really hated on for saying it just as I've said it. And I'm trying to do it from a place of love, but I can't lie to the community, right? Like we have to work on our health and we have to take daily actionable steps and make ourselves a priority.
I think it's so important. Earlier on this day, when I got into body, I said, listen, this is the day I dread, right? I don't, I hate
Yeah.
talking about weight loss and fat and obesity and dating. I loathe the conversation because you're right. You want to say everybody is dateable, lovable, likable for exactly who they are. And it's true, and the modern dating culture is not that shallow, actually. However, they are really interested in health. They are. They want a good energy. They want good health. They want longevity. And this is where they need to start, right?
This is everything.
Sure.
Yeah. And I know a lot of my audience are millennials, which I age 25 to 40 and I'm sure like that like the probably the 30 plus is I'm guessing like your audience, right? A lot of them.
Well, so interestingly enough, even if I have my clients and audience that are like 60 plus,
Mm.
one of the things that researchers are finding out that dating is helping people stay in better overall health and happiness, right? They're in better
Yes.
physical shape than they ever have been. They have more time and more capacity. So yeah, the millennial age group it has a lot of stresses in life,
Mhm.
and so it's a time constraint. That's why I will just say invest the money, not on, you can invest the thousands on the wine all year long, or you can just take 1 year, invest it in a coach, and really get a handle on your health so that you can be in a more loving relationship, right? So I
Yes.
see that people from all ages it's the education and the action that's missing
Mhm.
from changing everything in their life.
I love that you've said that. I once had a professor one time and he was in school, he was saying, I see these people, getting divorces. And then when they're going into dating, right, they're hitting the gym, they're changing the way they eat, they're getting a coach, they're all of a sudden dressing nicer. They want to bring like the sexy lingerie into the relation, like whatever. And he was like, if they had just put that damn effort
Yeah.
into their original, for this case, he was talking about people that had been divorced, but if they had put that effort in, they'd be in a different place than they are, right? So, how blessed your community is to have you be honest and open and truthful to them and like, hey, let's make some shifts, right?
Yeah, that's what this is about, right? Is the community that took this challenge is like they're already doers, right? So now we just need the education and they want to cut some corners. And I would just think hire a coach and make a commitment, would be the way. um,
Absolutely.
so I'd love to hear one piece of the take home advice that you would give the community.
So, it's really funny because you've already pretty much nailed it. But I was going to say, accountability is everything. So, it would literally look just like this: hire a coach. They're going to keep you accountable. They're going to tell you what you need to be doing next steps, right? Lay out a plan, be in a supportive community so
Mhm.
that you're with like-minded people because, you probably heard of crabs in the bucket, right? When we're in our regular communities, and not that people they don't mean to harm us or not serve us, but when you announce you want to make a change, I want to lose this amount of weight, I want to do this, I want to go to this gym, like whatever it is, people fear you changing. So So it's really important to be in a community that you can get with like-minded people. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just people will tell you what they will have objections to what they can't see for themselves. Therefore, they can't see it for you. So it's super important to be in a community that supports you. Get an accountability partner, make a commitment, and commitment in our society looks like time and money invested,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. When you
Yeah.
invest those two things, it's
Good.
time to make a shift. And then just most importantly, just get started from from at least what I'm teaching with weight loss. You can make a difference starting with your very next meal, right? You can choose to do it differently. And that's all that it requires.
Well, I definitely know my meal is going to be different after this call.
And for you in the community, myself, it's like you should be so proud of yourself.
Right.
You have that ability within you. And, as you sit down and you've got the fork in your hand, you're going to say, like, I'm going to, like, is this meal nutrition? Is it entertainment? Is it addiction? And choose.
Yeah,
It's going to
that's a
serve you or it's
great,
not. Yeah, it's
yeah,
just
it's a great
awareness.
tool.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. I just love the positive impact you are making in this world. You are a really special woman, and I feel so privileged to know you. And how can people in the community find you?
Oh, yep. So you can follow me on Instagram. My handle is at Dr. Debbie Bright. It's DrDebbieBright. I drop truth bombs on Facebook. You can find me there as well. And or you could take my quiz. I have a weight loss awareness quiz, which is literally weightlossawarenessquiz.com.
Can I
And you go
attach
in,
it
yeah, you
for
can
them?
attach it to it. Yep. And people just go in. I think it takes about 4 minutes to get through, and you rate yourself on a sliding scale, and it um it it will email you back like your score and kind of shed light on areas you could work on. So I usually get pretty good feedback on that when people like it.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely. I loved being here. Thank you for letting me talk to your group. It's been such a pleasure.
Thanks.